Dwayne, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Pearlstein, and thank you so much for joining me on another run through this great world we all work in, the glass and glazing world. So anyway, we're off and running. We've got a good podcast, in my opinion, today. Two great guests. I've got Keith Daubmann coming up along with Jason Godfrey. More on them in a moment, but a huge thank you to our friends at FHC. Stop gambling with your hardware. When you specify or purchase FHC entrances, railings, or frameless shower door hardware, you gain instant peace of mind knowing that your hardware has been designed, engineered, manufactured, and tested by a company that holds their quality to the highest standard in the industry, their own. Pair that with nearly unlimited customization capabilities, ease of installation, breakneck lead times, and the best customer service in the glazing industry, and you'll understand why more and more glazers and fabricators are choosing FHC. FHC, you now have a choice. So thank you to my friends over there, FHC, Frameless Hardware Company, fhc.usa.com. All right, on the podcast, as I mentioned earlier, I kick it off with Keith Daubmann of MyShowerDoor, D3 Glass, MyArchitecturalGlass. Incredible guy. And again, you see him on social media. I know you do. And I love the detail he goes into, how he got into it, the time he puts into it, but also just where he came from, what he overcame, how his family does things, and some interesting tidbits he added I did not know. So well worth a listen there. And then after him is Jason Godfrey of UFP Packaging. Again, in our world, we're always looking for different things, new packaging opportunities, a little bit different. Met Jason at California Glass Association a few months back, really impressed. And he came through with I thought, a really enjoyable podcast. So those are coming up, and then I'll be on the back end with my typical TV stuff. But we started off with Mr. Keith Daubmann. Here we go. Okay. To kick things off this month, I'm really thrilled. This is an exciting one for me. I've got Keith Daubmann. He's from D3 Glass, MyShowerDoor, MyArchitecturalGlass. The one main website I always go to, MyShowerDoor.com, but I find him on LinkedIn all the time. He is an influencer. He is a good man and an interesting guy. And there's a lot to go over. So my friend, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Matt, thank you for having me. And I must say, I look forward to reading your blog post every Sunday morning. It's the first, actually, my whole day's messed up if you ever miss a Sunday, just so you know how important that is to my routine.
I'm honored by that. Thank you. I'm honored by that.
It's a good way of getting a pulse of what's going on in the industry. And your post is so digestible. So thank you.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. Well, you, my friend, you've done amazing things. I'm a huge fan of you and your family, and I know that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. And I thank you for everything that you do for our industry and our world, and we'll talk about that too. But let's start with you, because it's interesting. Some people who may only know you from the posts on LinkedIn don't maybe know you that well, because I know you've got an interesting background, an interesting story. I'd love to start right there. You know where you grew up, the challenges you did face, and how you got to today.
That's a great question. And I look forward to answering that because it gives me an opportunity to pay homage to my parents. So I'm the older sibling of two. Myself and my younger brother were originally from Western Massachusetts. If you were in my office, you'd know that because you'd see all of our Boston paraphernalia. Yep. But I grew up in an entrepreneurial family at about age 12, only because I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's non-lymphoma. My parents were at the time just two blue-collar workers in Western Mass, providing a roof over head for my brother and I. And then they were dealt this hand, which was, for most people on the face, could be crippling. But it was really a true blessing in disguise. They immediately identified the only way to get me care was they need money. They didn't have insurance, so they leveraged their home. They started a home services business. Right. And then boom, a year later, I'm in the Dana-Farber Institute in Boston getting the treatment I needed. Now here I am roughly 33 years later in remission. However, I tell people that getting cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me because it allowed my brother and I to grow up in an entrepreneurial family. And so this kind of story goes from there. My brother and I were doing a lot of little odd and end jobs, really probably making it more difficult for my parents to be entrepreneurs than they would have liked.
Right.
But we learned a lot of the soft skills from both my parents because no one really in our family has higher education. I think our family motto is kind of we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of always been that way. And then you fast forward to 2023, my mother convinced, who's the best salesperson, convinced the whole family that we need to move to Florida. The weather in Massachusetts wasn't very good. And after scouring around through Florida, they found the West Coast, the Naples, Fort Myers area. And that's kind of where we planted our flag. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in the location, our first ever location here in North Naples as we speak. But we've kind of grown to 11 locations in the state of Florida, our first one out of the state. And of course, we went vertical about 12 years ago with the manufacturing, which you've seen.
Right.
So
Right.
that's kind of where it all started. And here we are today.
So because you guys were like in the when I had Bill on a couple years ago, it was Bill's your dad. It
Yep.
was you were doing closet like organizing among other
Yes.
things. You know,
It started as the closet shelving business up north. That was right after the Wolf of Wall Street, their 87, the market crash. About 88, 89, he started cold calling contractors because they were making a ton of houses, and his business was at the time, we're going to go in and organize the closets. And he did some marketing to the end user kind of retro market, but most of it was contractor work. And then consequently, he ended up building that business pretty big to the point where he became a dealer of this closet shelving. And he was selling closet shelving to a gentleman who I'm sure you know, Tom Whitaker.
yeah.
And Tom Whitaker was actually the one that put us onto the glass industry, saying, hey, listen, you got a great business, but there's so many SKUs and the inventory and the profit margins. You should really look at adding this shower door component. And it wasn't very long before we realized that was like a gold mine, especially comparatively speaking to what we were doing. It was a leaner business. It was cleaner. It was more profitable, a little bit sexier,
Right.
candidly.
Right.
And so that's kind of how we got into the shower door industry, was because of Tom Whitaker. We still call him the godfather of the shower doors, just because he was so far ahead of his time
Yes.
when we first were put onto the heavy glass frameless shower enclosures.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So now you have brands. You
Yep.
have and so I'd like to talk about each one of them. So let's start with My Shower Door because My Shower Door was the first brand that you
Yep.
started, correct? So let's
Yep.
start with that and then we'll go to the other two. Tell me a little bit about My Shower Door and for those out there who just don't know what My Shower Door is.
So MyShowerDoor specializes in measuring, manufacturing, and installing heavy glass frameless shower enclosures, not only for the retro market, meaning people have an old frame door from new construction they want to take out and put in a frameless without having to incur all the expenses of the construction of all new tile, all the way to multifamily high-rise hotel projects. But MyShowerDoor, unlike most of its competitors or most other glass companies in the country, have literally carved out the shower door component away from all the other SKUs that you could be offering, mirrors, wet bars, wine cellars, all that. It's literally only shower enclosures. But to that extent, we've kind of innovatively bettered our offerings, meaning we have different style hinges.
Right.
Our handles are different. The way we showcase our showrooms for the end user to come in and touch and see and feel, I think it's not groundbreaking, but it's different than most.
Yeah.
And we found that has been a very successful way for us in showcasing those opportunities.
Love
So
it.
the shower door market, I still hear to this day, because if people aren't looking for a shower door, when I tell them what they do, they say, you really make a living selling shower doors?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I still hear that to this day. And I chuckle. Of course, I tell them, no, it's a shitty business. You never want to get into
No.
this business. It's horrible.
Right.
But it's provided more than I could have ever imagined when we first embarked on this, not only for myself, but we're up to 198 employees, which I just never thought would ever be possible.
That's incredible. And the thing that really got me was the fact that when my son went to school in Florida and I started to see your actual retail locations, I was like blown away because it was different than I had seen in traditional glass shops, and it was only shower doors, which was like groundbreaking for me and also very risky for you guys. I mean, you guys bet on yourself big time, which was huge.
That's interesting that you say that, because even when we were pitching some of the contractors down here, when we first got down here, they were open to it. But then they said, well, wait a second. if you're going to do shower doors, you have to do X, Y, and G, because
Right.
when I don't use that other company, now I'm going to have to bring in someone, and it could be contentious in there. And it was a hard sell in the beginning. I mean, it was very tempting to do all those other um, elements,
Right.
but that's not what we were really focused on. The pipeline that we created, the whole process that we created was just strictly surrounded the heavy glass frameless shower enclosure. So it wasn't easy. It was very difficult in the beginning, but once our name got out there and we had a lot of kind of work under our belt, our name started to get out there more. And then of course the advertising.
Right.
We were always, Dad was always a big guerrilla marketer. Even when we didn't have any money, he'd be writing pieces to the local newspaper, hopefully just as fill-in stories.
Yeah.
And he still does that to this day.
He's relentless. He's
Yeah.
relentless. You know,
I wish he would do more with social media, but I digress.
yeah, no, I think he's good in his lane, because if he
Yeah.
starts messing in your lane, Keith, there's a problem. I mean, you've got your lane, he's got his lane. We got to keep him in his lane. He's
Okay.
too good, because if he starts coming into the other lane, he hurts all of us. He's too
Yeah.
good. He's too
Maybe.
good.
Maybe.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know. You maybe relish that battle there. You know,
I
bring it on.
It's funny. Dad used to be a professional hockey referee, and
Yep.
my brother and I oftentimes have a lot of battles. So he's still refereeing to this day, just internally.
I love it. I love it. Now we go to D3 and MyArchitecturalGlass, which I assume are relatively connected in a way. D3, the manufacturing side. Talk about D3 and MyArchitecturalGlass.
D3 was born right after the recession in 2008. We saw some property. We learned a lot about our business and what some of the pitfalls were. And one of the biggest hangups for us was, like most companies, we sell a job and now we order the glass from the tempering house and we wait. And we wait and we pray that the glass comes into the size that we ordered. It's not scratch or chipped. It made the truck. It made the delivery all the way to here, all while fielding phone calls. Is my door in? Because once you take money from an individual,
Yeah.
now you're on the hook. And unless you have some really solid communication in the beginning of that relationship, you kind of trigger that fear of the unknown. They're like, are they going to show up? Are they coming? And the phone calls were relentless. Is my door in yet? Is my door in yet? And we finally said, you know what? We need to go vertical. It'll allow us better customer service. It'll allow us to have more control on the quality, which this all sounds good. It was a very, as you know more than anybody, it's a huge barrier to entry and very
Yep.
risky.
Yes. Yes.
However, one of the biggest benefits and flexes that I was doing a lunch and learn last week, and one of the people said, well, why would I use you instead of the other glass guy? And I sat there and thought about it. I says, at the end of the day, if you don't think there's a huge difference between the quality that we install and they install, the one thing that's still on the table is both companies are going to make mistakes. That's inevitable. And when a shower door is getting put in a new construction house, it's at the end of the project.
Mm-hmm.
People are already tired, aggravated. The builder wants to close out the house and get the CO and get paid.
Yep.
And he says, that's right. I says, well, the good news is there's only one company that can fix a problem faster than anybody else. And that's the company that has its own manufacturing facility. And I said, that's one of the things that we bring to the table. Do we make more money because we manufacture? Yes, but it pales in comparison to what we do on the retail side. It allows us to provide better customer service. As we started to grow D3 and Bryce got involved and all his team members, and they really got very proficient on manufacturing, they said, Keith, we need more glass. So that's how my architectural glass was brought. For over a decade and a half, I was reading all the plans from the builders, just like everyone else, pulling out the shower door estimates. And I'm seeing, there's glass railings, and now there's these wine cellars, and there's this office partition or conference room. This is plumbing level. This is no different than shower enclosures.
Yeah.
And we already produced that product in our factory. And at the time, my mother, this was 2017, she said, Keith, you got to get on social media. And I was one of these, and I'm sure anybody that's watching this, there'll be a few of these. I don't need to be on social media. I don't want everybody seeing my business. Nobody needs to know what I'm doing all the time. I'm too old for that. I don't have time. And she says, Keith, you have to just watch this guy named Gary V for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And if you don't like what he's saying, then you don't have to do it. Well, of course, I watched one or two of his posts. I was hooked. And I understood the power of it, of how he was explaining it. So I told Doug and Bill, I says, let's start an architectural division so it doesn't water down our shower door brand. I was still managing, our flagship store here in the back. So I had this little office, and I just started posting on LinkedIn every day, once a day, every
Hmm.
day for like 2 years.
Yep.
And I remember telling my mother, Mom, she had more following and know with social media than I did in 2017. I didn't know anything about it. I said, what's a good number of followers to have? Like, what should I have? She goes, oh, well, if you could get like 2,000, that would change the game. And I'm like, 2,000. Okay. So I dedicated myself to getting 1,000 a month.
Nice.
And I did that for about 2.5 years. So I, worked my way up to close to 30,000 people on this platform. And I was posting every day, every
Yeah.
day. And just like anything else, when you start putting in the time and the reps, you start seeing like things that are starting to jump out to you. Maybe I should do this different. Oh, here's a cool opportunity. So I did all this under the umbrella of MyArchitecturalGlass, is not to water down or distract from the brand that we created at MyShowerDoor.
Right.
Because I said, if I'm going to get on social media, I don't want to have to run my post by HR. I don't want Dad and Doug have to give me a blessing of approval on everything. I says, if I'm going to do it, I want it to be my personality.
Yeah.
It should be myself.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to have to explain. I won't do politics, religion, and it'll just be business, nothing personal. It'll all be business, but I'm going to interject a lot of humor,
Have fun. Yep.
and I'm going to have fun with it. So
Yeah.
people get to know who I am. And they said, that's great. Do it. So that's kind of how I started doing the social media. And it was all just to promote this brand.
Sure.
Um, the connections and people I have met since doing that has been, look I'm doing podcasts now. I'm speaking at glass
Yep.
shows.
Yep.
It's opened so many doors, but the real kind of innocuous thing that really no one talks about, because it's not glamorous, but I think it's super important, is the amount of innocuous rapport that it builds with people and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
It has condensed my sales cycle here immensely, especially if I go to a job site or someone comes in the showroom and they've recognized me from a social media post. It changes the game. It's not, will you bid this? It's not, we're getting some bids. It's more like, will you do this for us?
Yeah.
And price now is out the window. The only reason price is in the picture most of the time is because they don't trust you or they don't know you.
Yeah.
And so the amount of posts I'm doing, it's really allowing me to build some of the kind of Dale Carnegie innocuous rapport that they used to talk about. And it's shortened my sales cycle. So for anybody out there that says they don't have time to do social media, I would argue you can't afford not to make time if you're trying to grow your business or seek out new opportunities.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. And just to give everybody out there who don't know the cast of characters you're talking about, Doug is your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Donna Daubmann is your mom.
Yeah.
Bryce is a plant manager. Is his
Yeah, he
title?
runs the whole ship at D3 Glass.
Yeah, and then we also have Jay, who is your anybody who sees you on social media. Usually, we'll see Jay not far behind. One of you is usually the butt of the joke somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
But the interplay between you guys is spectacular and it's genuine. I don't think you hate each other in real life, that's for sure. Because you get your camaraderie is incredible, incredible.
Jay's our oldest team member. He's been with us a little over 21 years. He was with us 5 years up north. And
Did not know that. I did not know that.
Jay is this gives me chills even saying it. Jay is the only person that I've worked with in this company that I've never had a disagreement or argument with. And that isn't because of me.
Yeah.
I could rub some people the wrong way. You either love me or hate me, but either way, it's Jay is kind of level-headed, very emotionally intelligent, like high EQ. The best person, most loyal individual you could ask to work with Jay. And tomorrow on, I don't know when you're going to post this, but when everybody sees it, him and I are coming in tomorrow as the Menendez brothers. So the amount of content that we're going to produce tomorrow is going to be
Wow,
hilarious.
I cannot wait. So yeah, folks, this will come out on Sunday, so it's a few days after Halloween. Make sure you get onto social media and look back at Keith's feed to see that the Menendez brothers. Well, it's hot right now with the Netflix series, obviously, and they're getting a new trial and everything, or new sentencing. I did not know that
Can
about
I
Jay.
ask you something about that?
Yes,
Do you
please.
think that part of the reason that they are getting that new trial, in my opinion, has to do with the social media?
Oh yeah,
Like the Netflix special came out and
100%.
it's everywhere now.
100%. Because there's been 10 different miniseries on these two, but the Netflix series painted them so it showed the thing that the dad was doing to them and so on, and gave them this kind of almost sympathetic light. And absolutely, and Netflix now gets in people's brains. Absolutely. That's all because of the series. All because of the
And the
series.
district attorney, that's an elected position. So now you
It's
got all these people wanting the
it's
Menendez brothers out.
wild.
Like
Yeah.
it just goes to show the power of the media nowadays.
It does. It does. It does the power of me. I did not know that about Jay. I did not know he was with you back in Massachusetts, and he's been with you that long. That is really cool.
We moved down here and we were here 6 months. I called Jay, says, Jay, I just bought you a plane ticket. I want you and your wife to come down here for a weekend. By the time Sunday came around, they didn't want to leave. They were going to ask one of their parents to bring all their shit down here. They went up there for 2 months and they truck right down here. So yeah,
Love it.
first employee and it's been here just over 21 years.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I'm with Keith Daubmann, D3 Glass, My Shower Door, My Architectural Glass. See myShowerDoor.com has the one big website to look at. You have a website for D3 as well, right?
Yeah, all three companies have. It's the name of the company.com.
Okay, so to check out the websites. Uh, Thrilled to have you. Now let's talk. We go back to the glass right now. I'm curious. Two things. One, biggest challenge that you ran into as you evolved. From the shower doors to the architectural side of things, and then also what's the most popular thing you're selling these days, glass wise?
Okay, so in regards to the first question, what was your first question again,
What
Max?
the biggest challenge you had as you were evolving from shower doors into manufacturing?
Culture.
Culture.
We
It's a
it
different change. It's a different world. Yeah.
massively different world, and I think we just had such a strong small team when we were starting, and when we went into manufacturing, it was almost kind of like a secondary component, and I think we took a lot of stuff for granted, and I mean, for anybody that doesn't know this, when we started the manufacturing, my shower door already had 4 locations, very profitable at this time, doing very well. Doug and I were probably 3 months away from bankrupting the whole thing. I mean, we were hemorrhaging money. And what ended up happening was it was our turnover, especially in manufacturing. I think it traditionally has a higher turnover to begin
Does
with.
does.
But now you throw the Florida summers into it with a tempering oven and shitty culture.
Yeah.
It's not a recipe for long-term tenure. And when Bryce came in, who knew nothing about glass other than the fact that he had a shower door, that's about the extent
Gotcha.
of his knowledge. He was a team building, very empathetic. That's probably the perfect word. Lots of empathy, and was able to rally a team into this real positive, good working culture. So the biggest lesson was culture.
Interesting. And you have it now because when I toured your facility, that was the first two things hit me when I toured your facility. One was the equipment you have now is top notch. I called it like an all-star game of equipment.
Yeah. I
I
tell
loved it.
people you said that. That was cool.
It was incredible. This was the best of this. This was the best of that. It was like literally watching a baseball all-star game, but in equipment style. And then the culture, just the way that people were going about their business, the way they handled themselves, the cleanliness of the plant, the way that Bryce handled himself, you and Bill and Donna and Doug, and it just was like wow, it just beamed. So it is interesting to me that at first you did not have that, so you had to work at it. Interesting, very
Oh,
interesting.
and you know what? You only learn lessons when it's either costing you time or money. And we were blowing through both of them. So what do they say? The pride goes before the fall. It was
Yep,
only a matter of time before we were able to, you could bang your head against the wall so many times you say, something's got to change here. And it was ourselves. We were poor leaders at the time. And, we evolved into the hard way, much like all the lessons that we learned the
yeah.
hard way. That the people are by far the most important. Customer is important. but your people are, in my opinion, is the most important.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. Now, popular product. What's the hot product right now?
Well, here in Southwest Florida, these wine cellars at My Architectural Glass, these a lot of these tract housing developments, condos are getting so bigger, and there's not a lot of storage here in Southwest Florida. There's no basements,
Right.
so you got a lot of blank walls, tie walls, and there's a lot of wine collectors. Most of the people that we're servicing here aren't from here, so this is their second home, so they're pretty affluent individuals. And I would say there's a huge demand for the wine cellars. The glass railings are also extremely popular. You know, everybody likes the view that they have. They pay top dollar for this view.
Yeah. Yeah.
I argue anything other than glass railings is not helping your view.
Nope.
So we are selling a good amount of the glass railings, but the shower doors seem to keep, just when you think, how many more shower doors could we possibly sell to this area? It's still growing and growing and growing. These barn door style sliders are extremely popular. I have seen in the last 2 decades, I'm old enough to say this now, that, you know, things that were popular then were unpopular and now are coming back again. You know, it's kind of fun to watch as well.
I love it. I love it. You've been around long enough where you're seeing the trend come all the way back around. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's very cool. I got Keith Daubmann with me. It's D3 Glass, My Shower Door, My Architectural Glass. Put a .com on the end of all of those and check out their websites. Fun question. And this one I'm very curious because when I wrote it out, first off, I was like, do you have any spare time? And if you do have any spare time, which I feel like you don't, what do you do with your spare time? What is a hobby for Keith Daubmann?
Okay, so I used to be an avid golfer. I
Really?
love playing golf.
No idea. You would have never imagined that from you.
Oh, and it's super competitive at it as well. I mean,
Okay.
I played a lot. What ended up happening was I started getting a lot more recognition locally here because of the social
Sure,
media.
sure. Yep.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, that, you know, there's a reason why vanity is one of the seven deadly sins. It got its hooks in me to the point where the only thing I do now, aside from working in my office and producing social media, is that's it.
Yeah.
That's
That's your
what I
world.
do.
Right.
You know, I have such a huge we've been fortunate enough to garner all the business that we have, but it's because of the team members we have. And
Yep.
I feel like I'd be doing a disservice if I wasn't showing them that I'm the hardest working one here.
Yeah, you are.
Um, and it's important for me personally to show that to everybody. So I'll be the first one here. I'll be the last one to leave, and it's going to be like that till I retire.
Yeah.
I won't do it any other way. It's tough for me to ask somebody to do something while I'm, you know, I'll never ask a teammate to do something I'm not willing to do myself.
Yeah.
That said, there's nothing I'm not willing to do myself.
No, no doubt. And I know that of you because I've communicated with you at all times of day and night, and you're always on.
Yeah,
And
I love it.
yeah,
I wish I had another hobby, but I'm having so much damn
I
fun,
love it.
especially since this social, it's almost kind of like revitalized me. It makes me more relevant again, and it's addicting. And
Yeah,
I can't stop it. It's like shooting fish in a barrel right now,
it's
too. So
beautiful.
I just
Yeah, good.
never leave a heater.
I love it. I love it. And again, I would not. I see you as kind of a hockey player type because maybe your dad, because being a ref,
I
because
did.
I could see you being kind of that Marchand sort of instigator type,
Yeah.
you know,
Scrappy.
scrappy, go into the
Yeah.
corners, throw the
Yeah.
elbow here and there,
Yeah. The Gordie Howe elbow.
Yep, make kind of laugh a little bit. That's it. But golf I did not see because you have so much energy, and I see golf as this genteel, the golf clap, and that's not you. You are
I
full of
flipped that
energy.
on the script. If you ever played with me, if you saw me on the golf course, I remember when those big Bluetooth speakers first came out. I can't play golf without music. So I got the
Oh
Bluetooth
my
speaker,
gosh!
I got my phone. I want to play in under 3 hours. I'm not looking to be out there for 5 hours.
Right,
Um,
you're Rodney
but
Dangerfield in Caddyshack. Yeah, that's what it is.
exactly,
You're Al Zervik.
exactly.
I love it. Beautiful. A couple more questions for Keith Dahlman, who is a tremendous man and human. And speaking of the human, you and your family, are unbelievable. From the way you are always looking forward to this industry, the way you help out the high schools and involved in the high schools, and your dad never misses an opportunity. You never miss an opportunity to be involved in the high schools. But in the industry, the Shower Door Professionals group is my favorite group of all time on Facebook. Chris Phillips founded that a few years back. Love it.
Yep.
I love the community you guys have built. And one member of that community is Billy Britt. Britt Tilson Glass. They're in Nashville, North Carolina. They got run over by the hurricane, lost basically everything. You guys were the first ones again to step up and say, okay, we're here to support. How does that, where does that come from you guys? Is it from, the fact that you had a big time health challenge when you were younger, or is it just the way your mom and dad are ingrained into wanting to helping people? But you do, help people left and right. And how is the fundraising going for Billy and family?
First of all, I think my brother and I get mom and dad are definitely the givers. I don't know where that came from, but I know early on they would never say no to anybody. But consequently, by always giving, it almost seemed like they always got too. And so that was a staple for them in business, always giving as much as they can, whether it was free information, whether it was, I would argue them on the discounts, but I digress. But they were always willing to help, especially other people within the industry, because we never know when we were going to need it. And, people had always, Mr. Shower, Tom Whitaker is a perfect example. That guy gave us countless hours of time and helped steer us in an industry to look where we are now.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of that. But helping Billy Tillerson, Billy,
yep,
was a no-brainer because they didn't even think twice about it when we had it during Ian. The first thing that Bill mentioned, as soon as we started seeing some of the news that broke in that area, was, we got to start a GoFundMe. And before you know it, people were flooding in money from all over the country.
Yep.
And somebody's got to start that, right? And I just think it's in his nature to just start helping people, which is a very good quality to have. I wish I had more of that. I help when I can. I don't know where all that came
Yeah,
from.
I think
I'm proud to be a part of it. I can tell you that.
I think you do have it. And you brought up, I forgot, Hurricane Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, you had 10 feet of water in your house.
Yeah, me personally, I had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just under 8 feet of water in the house.
And I heard your truck floated away sort of thing?
Yeah, I lost all my vehicles. We weren't expecting to get the surge because up until this point, for a decade, they say 10-foot surge, 10-foot. Not one time was there ever this massive surge. So, of course, I took it like this is going to be fine. And it crushed us. Two of our employees lost their whole house.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So it was, but just like in the beginning, when I told you when we had cancer, it was a true blessing in disguise. I know a lot of people lost a lot of things and maybe even lost their lives. And that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, losing a lot of the stuff, materialistic things, it was an amazing life lesson for me because it really showed here I am 3 years later, 2 years later. I don't miss one thing that I lost. And it was actually kind of a freeing feeling by not having all that clutter and stuff that I never even looked at to begin with. It was a really interesting dynamic because at first it was shock and awe. And then as the time went on, the healing started. It's like, I actually don't miss any of this. And it was another blessing in disguise. It saved me from having to clean out the garage every spring anyway.
Yeah, there you go.
But Billy's spot, I was up there 3 years ago. I took a picture in front of that building that had been there for 100 years or something like that. And it's gone. So our Ian paled in comparison to what they're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And those of you who have not seen the GoFundMe for Billy, if hit me up or look on social media, and also glassmagazine.com has put it out there. It's been on my blog before. Please consider giving to that. A couple more questions before I let you go. Keith Daubmann, MyShowerDoor, MyArchitecturalGlass, D3 Glass. Check them out online with a .com, like you said, after all of those things, all good websites. I'm curious. This was not on my question list to you. Growing up with Doug, and now Doug is on the manufacturing side. You're on the sales and marketing side. Do you ever battle from the standpoint of, he probably does not want the lead times that you promised, that sort of thing? I'm curious. Is there a battle between the sales and marketing head and the manufacturing head?
There was when we were first starting until we put some other pieces in place.
Okay, just curious.
There was battles. I mean, there was battles to the point where we would literally fight each other. And just like other siblings, that goes away pretty quickly.
Yep.
But yeah, we would battle all the time because, of course, he never has enough time. And I'm saying, listen, if we don't get the job, we don't have this. So we're both fighting for what we both need at that time. Now having 20 years of experience of him and I working side by side, we have more managed expectations of what each other are wanting and needing. And so I think it was necessary to go through those times to get to where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing's going to be perfect. We were going into uncharted territory. Like I said, we almost crashed the whole deck of cards to begin with.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
tensions are already high. Expectations are high. And now we've kind of settled in and we can grow at our own leisure. He's right now opened up a new store in Charlotte, which is killing it.
Love it. Love it.
The only reason that's doing as well as it is, I think, is because of all these things that we went through in the beginning, getting those 10,000 hours in the beginning.
Yeah, well, it sounds like everything you've done, you learn from, and that's, I think that's the biggest takeaway. And that's probably the biggest failing most people have is they don't learn from experience. They tend to ignore that experience or don't want to remember that experience because it was painful instead of learning from it. And it sounds like you guys have learned from every experience, whether it was good or bad. So
we're 100% committed. We obsess over what we do, which can be a fault. Maybe sometimes people talk about work-life balance. I always push back on that because if you want to be the best at what you're doing, it's difficult to find a balance. You literally have, and being a business owner, as you know, you almost have to be partially crazy because you're going to have all these ups and downs. And just when you think you've seen it all, something new happens. And it's just, being an entrepreneur is mostly failing with some occasional wins. And if you can't digest failing every now and then or learning the hard way, you're in for a long road.
Nope, you nailed it. You nailed it. Very good stuff. One more question for Keith Daubmann of MyShowerDoor, MyArchitecturalGlass, D3 Glass, out of Florida, but they're everywhere in my mind. Also, check out Keith on LinkedIn, Keith Daubmann. Future, what are we looking at? When this comes out, the election comes up in a couple days. There'll be the after effect of that, and then we flow into 2025. How are you personally feeling? What are you guys feeling as a company about the future? What's it looking like out there?
Well, we're really excited for the amount of growth that we can take on in the manufacturing space, in particular with the laminate products.
Yep.
And we're hoping to triple next year the amount of output of laminate products that we're currently doing. And we have the capacity to do so. We're starting to see a lot of these newer opportunities. Our name's starting to get out there more relative to high quality and customer service. We're definitely not the cheapest price in town. I'm also looking forward because we have the manufacturing and all this technology and digital. I'm anxiously awaiting the evolution of those two merging together.
Yeah.
We have this, I think the switch light might be like one of the only items that people talk about when it's electricity and glass. But much like our smartphones, I'm anxious to see how the technology is going to integrate into the glass. And when it does, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really do.
And so I think you've got a good plan going forward because you've got good products. You're always looking, you're always evolving, and you feel pretty good about where you're at. And especially I saw this, either you or somebody else in the family put it up, the shot of the directions from Fort Myers north.
Yes.
Yeah, that you put it out there. Here we are. Come get it.
One post. I did that post yesterday. Bryce has gotten 3 calls in the last 24 hours for customers that we're going to be onboarding. So
love it.
If people are still apprehensive about the power of social media, please, please, please get your goods and services out there, whether it's just a post, a picture, a video. Don't be afraid.
I love it.
People are going to forget you pretty quickly.
Well, I'm thrilled you gave me this much time, my friend, because I know you're a busy, busy man. And thank you for shoehorning me into your day. And thanks for doing the podcast. This was tremendous to get to know you a little bit better. I learned a few new things too, which I enjoy. And I can't wait to see you in person soon.
Can't wait, Max. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Hey glazers and fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware, privately owned and American made. FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. Next up on the From the Fabricator podcast, I'm thrilled to be joined by Jason Godfrey, UFP Packaging, UFPpackaging.com, all one word, UFPpackaging.com. Excited to learn a little bit about what he does and where he's come from. So, Jason, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Max. I appreciate the opportunity.
And I love those of you watching on Zoom. Jason is decked out in the I Love Glass sunglasses that were created by our mutual friend Andrew Herring, and so looks good. And the background looks good too. You're looking good, my friend.
Well, I figured I might as well go big or go home. My first time out on your podcast, so I know it looks like I'm on a beach, but actually I am in the office, so I can go ahead and probably take these off.
There you go. Well, it looked good, and kudos to our friend Andrew. That was good stuff. So, all right, Jason, talk to me a little bit. Getting to know you, I've only I've met you once in California, saw you at Glass Build. We've had some conversations, so this is untrampled ground for me. I have no idea on any of this stuff, where you were born, grew up, went to school, how you ended up in the packaging madness. So let's talk about you and your past. Take me back.
You got it. Well, I am a Southern California guy. So
Okay.
I've born and raised in San Diego.
Okay.
And for a brief stint, I went out to school in Arkansas, of all places.
Wow. Okay.
So that was a wild experience. Did you know
No,
that the seasons change out there? I didn't know seasons change in Southern California.
there you go. Okay. And you didn't just go, so you went from Southern Cal to Arkansas. All right. So
Oh yeah.
that's a jump. Okay.
Oh, big shock. And so getting into the packaging world, I actually started working for UFP back in 2008
Okay.
as it was a customer service job, kind of handling some of the one of their big box stores that they do a lot of business with, kind of managing inventory and that kind of stuff. And then in 2020, we segmented the company, went from Universal Forest Products to what it is now, UFP. I
Okay.
guess they were paying too much per letter, so they wanted to just abbreviate.
Gotcha.
But they divided into a few different companies, and I can probably touch on that later. But
Yeah.
now UFP Packaging focuses a lot on that industry or that kind of segment of business.
So how'd you make it? So you went to Arkansas. You went to Arkansas for college or for high school? So talk to me about that. Did you go to UA? I mean, where'd you end up in Arkansas?
So in Arkansas, it was for college. So I did my undergrad out here, did the community college gig,
Okay.
and then for graduate or not graduate school, but to finish my degree, I went out to Harding University.
Okay.
It's a small little private Christian university,
Yep.
about 40 miles north of Little Rock.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a nice area. Little Rock's great. I mean, it's a great area. So then how'd you get back to California, or did you just work in Arkansas for a little bit and then or was there a stop in between?
So I finished school and I came right back to San Diego. And funny enough, I actually started in real estate when I
Really?
came back.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2007, I graduate and I come back in the midst of the bubble,
Ooh,
right?
rough.
Great time to get into real estate, Max, let me tell you.
Jason, my friend. Oy. Yikes.
Yeah, so obviously that was not a success for me starting out.
No.
So ended up doing a few other jobs until I, got on with UFP, and then been with them now, I think 7-8 years.
So at least you're in San Diego, one of my favorite places on earth. So
Can't
fantastic,
complain.
fantastic place. It'll be my greatest thing. Well, if we can ever get Glass Build back to San Diego, we were there I think in 2005. If we can ever get back to San Diego, that will be the greatest thing I think I could ever hang my hat on, because I love that convention center and that setup in San Diego there, right by the gas lamp district. Fantastic.
When was the last time they were out there?
Yeah, I think it was either 2004, 2005.
Oh,
So it's been a
wow.
long time. And The convention center wasn't a fan of us because as you know, you've done the show, lots of
Mm.
equipment.
Oh yeah.
And in California, it's more chill. They don't want, especially in San Diego, they could go for surfboards, not tempering ovens. So it's a little bit tough, but one day we'll get back. All right. So back to the fun stuff here.
Of
UFP.
course.
So again, you were in glass build, and we'll talk about that soon. But let's start basically with the basics, what I call the extended elevator pitch.
Mhm.
You mentioned UFP, out of the gate, with working there. But what does UFP do? And then you could just break into the focus in the glass and glazing industry as well.
You got it, not a problem. So UFP packaging, I'll start with us. So we have 90 facilities across the US.
Wow, I did not
That are,
realize you were that big. Wow. Okay.
yeah, so so all across the country, I think we've got even 12 or 14 just in Texas alone.
Gotcha.
But what we do essentially on the packaging side is we design, fabricate, and supply packaging solutions to pretty much every industry. I'm talking automotive, technology, sheds. We even do spas,
Wow.
and of course glass, solar, all those types of industries. And then what we focus on is what we call structural wood packaging, which would be like your custom crates, your pallets, your skids. We also do a lot with high volume machine built pallets. We have a lot of automation that we utilize at a lot of our facilities. And actually, we started recently steel packaging. So steel one-way crating and returnable crating solutions. We have a facility in Noonan, Georgia, that is
Okay.
primarily focused on the steel packaging industry. And the company as a whole, so UFP Packaging is one segment of UFP Industries. And
Okay.
like I said before, they segmented out in 2020 to kind of cover all the different aspects. We have a retail solutions group, we have construction, factory built, and then packaging on our side.
Gotcha. And then now for the glass side, you do everything. I've seen on the website the different frame, L-bucks and so on. So it's a wide range.
Correct. Yeah. So that focus on the glass industry, yeah, we do a lot of packaging solutions. A lot of our designs and innovation is kind of geared or focused towards reducing a lot of costs, and those costs can be anything. I mean, they could be reducing material costs, reducing labor costs at the facility of our customers.
Right.
Right. I mean, a lot of things that I've kind of found within this industry is there's a lot of crating, on-site crating, and a lot of time and labor that's associated to that. And we try to focus on things to try to reduce that labor cost so that the glass customers can do what they do best, which is
Right.
fabricate, produce the float glass or their decorative architectural glass solutions. Yeah, two of the items that we do quite a bit, you kind of mentioned it, the L racks or L bucks and the A frames.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that we like to showcase quite a bit, we call it the Easy A.
Okay.
Actually, I even have like my little sample here.
Okay.
You can
So,
see it.
yep. Those of you watching on YouTube can see it. It gets a little, you've got the beach behind you. So it
Oh,
gets,
of course.
the beach beats it up a little bit, but I see it.
I'll send you the PDFs if
Yeah.
you want to post it too. But essentially what it is, it's a modular system. And something that we've noticed in the industry is a lot of, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of situation with the glass industry. Just keep kind of cranking and doing what you do. This design allows for customization. The A-frames can be modular. We build the components that can easily be put together by the on-site team at the customer. And then all you got to do is cut the length of the boards to size. If you need a 6-foot A-frame, an 8-foot A-frame, 10, 12, just it's purely up to you.
No, that makes it a lot easier. And that does bring in, I've got Jason Godfrey from UFP Packaging, UFPpackaging.com. So what we're talking about, you can go check out. But it does get into, and you've probably found this out in your time of working in this industry, we suffer from the quote unquote, that's the way we've always done it, sickness.
Right.
So here you're bringing some of these new things in, like, hey, try this modular aspect, try something different, try, you don't need this old steel A-frame or this aluminum A-frame that's, weighs 10 billion pounds.
Right.
But you run into, well, we've always done it that way. How has it been for you trying to get people over the hump to try something new and different?
Right. I mean, it's kind of the age old story, right? I mean, if you look back to the invention of the light bulb, right? You've got James Rockefeller, or I'm sorry, John Rockefeller with kerosene,
Right.
right? Nobody would ever go away from oil, and then here comes Edison, this crackpot,
Yes. Yes. Very much
shows
so.
up on the scene, and you get a lot of blowback. So that, I mean, that's how innovation happens. But the thing is, for us, we welcome the challenge
Okay.
because it really gives us an opportunity for us to show value compared to the traditional packaging methods. Now, our solutions may not work in every application, but it's definitely worth having the conversation. And like I said earlier, what I've learned in this industry is the glass and glazing industry is very people centric. And I appreciate that a lot because a lot of the customers that I go and visit, I talk with, they have their teams, they have their on-site creating folks, and they are valuable. They are great people, and they reward them and take care of them. And what I don't want to do is be the guy that comes in and takes something away from somebody. I want to create solutions that kind of unite us.
Right.
I can do the difficult stuff at our factories or at our facilities. We can do the wedges. We can do the A-frame and the blocks. They can put it together and speed up their time and keep their production humming. And it's a marriage of convenience, really.
A win-win.
Exactly.
My good friend Michael Spellman will say win-win-win because a lot of times there's three different parties involved, and I love that. But in this case, I mean, you want your piece out, but you also want your customer to succeed, and they should want their customer or the person, because again, you're selling to fabricators, and the fabricator wants to make it easier on the glazer, especially these are mostly going to a job site or to some sort of staging area. You want them to make it easier on them, especially for unloading, handling, and then disposal or return.
Exactly.
And so I think you've got that. So you're making, it sounds like you're making some inroads though, and kind of getting over some of that's the way we've always done it, Hump.
Right. Yeah, we're trying. We get I mean, what is it? We talked about glass build earlier. I mean, this was our third year this last year in Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome to kind of see just the growth from the first time we did it to, now we're actually talking to customers that are like, hey, I've been using that for, the last couple of years. It's great. We're getting 5-6 turns out of it where we used to only get 1 or 2 from our previous design.
Nice. Yeah. So I've got Jason Godfrey, UFP Packaging. See everything we're talking about at ufppackaging.com. And then there's the industry served. You click that, go down to glass because these guys do a ton of different industries. Hit glass, you see the offerings right out of the gate. Jason's a good guy. And so since you mentioned Glassbill, we'll jump to the Glassbill question. My favorite part of Glassbill for you, and this is just me being a geek, I love the green carpet. I can't be the only one who was all over the green carpet. I'm just curious. Was that your idea? Whose idea was the green carpet? Because the green carpet popped.
Oh man, I wish I could take credit for that, but we worked with a booth organization company or display
Gotcha.
company this year, and to be honest, I think the green carpet was actually an accident.
Really?
I don't think it was supposed to be that bright green, but I'm with you. When I showed up that first day, I was like, holy moly, like what? It's like our booth's on fire, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go handle this.
Make that same mistake next year in Orlando, my friend, because it worked. That green carpet was an eye catcher for sure. So, and when you have 535 booths, you have to stand out some way. And your booth did stand out also from the standpoint of you had the packaging, you had examples of packaging, and then you had the miniature examples too, which I think, was able to, make people think. Did you notice that really maybe made people, those who are seeing it for the first time, make the light bulb go off a little bit?
Oh, definitely. I think it's good. The first time we did glass build, I actually brought all those little miniature samples, and we did so it's kind of funny. We did like a like a little game for all the folks coming in. So if you could put the A-frame together in under 5 minutes, you get a prize or something like that. So
Nice.
people are sitting there trying to put the little whatever together, and I had a little gong, that you ding once you finish. So it was kind of fun.
I like
But
it.
I love that, that hands-on approach to where, we're a very, visual, society. If I can
Yeah.
touch it, taste it, feel it, okay, I believe it. Let's
I,
go.
I like it. The thing that kills me about glass is I just can't get around to everybody as much as I want. I saw you, briefly for a second. I saw your booth when it was going up, and I just never get back. I love the gong and the assembly idea, but now you got returning customers who know about it, and they're probably ringers at that game. So you got to be careful for next year. So
Oh yeah.
for sure, for sure. We got Jason Godfrey, UFP Packaging with me, ufppackaging.com. Fun one for you. Go to inspirational line or message. And so I'm very curious, and it could also be a song lyric. You're a SoCal guy. So I don't know what to expect, because SoCal guys can have some really inspirational, deep messaging because you got the ocean there and everything. But for you, what's the go-to inspirational line or message?
Oh man, this I'm gonna catch flack on this one, probably from my teammates and most of the guys I work with,
Okay,
because they may not follow this one too good, but
tell me.
I'm just gonna do it, man. This is
Yeah.
who I am. So I would say one of my most influential lines would be from probably one of our most influential singer-songwriters of this current age, and that would be Miss Taylor Swift herself. Shake it off.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Oh,
I'm a Swiftie at heart. I can't.
you're
That's all I gotta
Swifty.
say.
Yeah.
My
Did you go to the concerts? Did you pay the thousands and thousands of dollars to go to the concerts?
No, but I heard if you fly out of the country, you could probably see her cheaper.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know
I've,
people that
I've
have
got
done
friends
that.
of mine that did that.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, she is popular. So shake it off, and I think and I'm going to go with that because I think again we talk about how challenging it is to get new products and new services into our industry because we are a glacier. We don't
Hmm.
move quickly. We are rooted in the past, and you probably do walk into Mr. or Mrs. Fabricator and Miss Fabricator, and you say, "Hey, I've got this new way of doing things," and they probably look at you like you've got 10 heads. Like, yeah, sure, buddy. Hit the road.
Exactly.
So it isn't now, and correct me. I don't, do you go personally to see a lot of people or you work specifically in Southern California? What do you cover when you're seeing people? I only know you from going to Glassfield and seeing you
Right.
at the California Glass Association.
So physically, yes, I do travel all throughout Southern California. That's essentially my region, so to speak. I do
Okay.
travel on occasion to glass build and different facilities, to help out or to see some different innovation or projects we're working on. But primarily, yeah, I'm physically in Southern California, and I'm on the road 3 days out of the week,
Gotcha.
visiting
Okay.
customers, looking at different opportunities and that kind of stuff. And you're right, man. I mean, that's why I went with it. I mean, we get a lot of objections, and we're slow to adapt, but you stay positive, you trust in your team,
Yeah.
our quality and our service. I know it can't be beat because if I'm in front of you, I'm working for you.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And the nice thing about being in Southern California, you have a wide base and you have a lot of
Yes.
really good operators there and a lot of prospects too. I mean, a little different than if you went back to your old stomping grounds in Arkansas, where you have two or three. You have two. You in SoCal, you have two or three in the same street in some cases. So
Oh, definitely.
which is good for you for driving around that area, which is very challenging to get around for sure. This is good stuff. Good stuff. So Jason Godfrey, UFP Packaging, UFPpackaging.com. Got one more question for you. We'll see where this leads to.
Yeah.
Crazy year, obviously. We've got the election coming up. This will come out right before the election. So those of you listening right before the election, this is what it's at. But also, the question kind of goes further. How are you guys seeing business-wise for the rest of the year into 2025? And I ask because you're coming at it from a different, UFP is gigantic. You have a lot of different industries that you serve. How are you guys feeling internally about the future and the forecast out there?
Right. Well, that's it. Yeah, it is. It's funny. It's been like my number one quote that I've heard when talking to customers is the election, what's going to happen the end of this year and all of that. And the beauty of the packaging world is that there are so many industries that we can be or are involved with. When one area might kind of slow down or kind of have a little bit of a lull, we've got another one that's humming at full speed.
Right.
We're cranking over here, over there. And the great thing about, being as large and having the resources that UFP has, we've done a really good job of diversifying and constantly looking at ways to innovate and find opportunities. And, the fact that we can do so many different things, we can approach a pain point for a customer in a variety of ways, where you might only have one option, with a wholesale lumber supplier. I mean, we can CNC, we can design, we can test the packaging. We have a testing facility in Newnan, Georgia. I mean, there are so many different ways that we can, build that better mousetrap.
Right.
And it's a positive outlook, to be honest with you. And that being said, though, this election year definitely has created some hesitation from a lot of companies.
Yeah.
And as we look into 2025, that's the thing. What's going to happen in the first 100 days?
Yeah. What's
going to happen with interest rates? I mean,
yeah.
I, for one, I'm hopeful that, the first quarter, I'm assuming that it's going to slow down to maybe a crawl, and then, everybody being anxious about what's going to happen. But kind of after the first quarter, we should see the wheels of business turning once again, because I mean, people got to eat, people got to work, people got to do all those things. And I'm hoping that the home building industry is going to increase into that spring and, second and third quarter, which drives a lot of the other industries.
Right.
And gets us going. But Max, my crystal ball has been foggy for the last 4 years, so I have no idea.
I don't think right now anybody who tells you they do, I think they're just pulling your leg. It's such a non possible known at this point. But we just have to. I mean, the one thing everybody says, I hear it all the time, is well, after the election things will change. After the election. Well, we're a week away when we're recording this. For some people watching this, a couple days away. So we'll see. It's going to be very interesting. But I like what you had to say, because we have to keep moving on. No matter what happens and no matter whose side you're on, you got to keep moving on. You can't throw your head in the sand. You got to keep trucking. We got to keep building. Got to keep supporting. And I like what you had to say. And I'll stay on the cautious optimism side. So
there you go.
Yeah, I like it. I've had Jason Godfrey, UFP Packaging. Check them out at ufppackaging.com. You'll see them again next year at Glass Build. And maybe catching you off guard, I assume you'll be at the Glass Expo West in Ontario, California in February, at least maybe even to say hello sort of thing.
Yeah, actually, I do believe I'm planning on going out there and at least walking around. I don't know if we're going to be exhibiting or having a table or anything yet, but definitely we'll be there to walk around. It's always good to see the peeps.
Yeah, one way or another, I'll get to see you, or I'll see you at another California Glass Association event where that was very cool that you came to the one that I spoke at. So I do appreciate you coming up to me. So my friend, thank you so much for doing the podcast. This was good stuff. I think you guys are doing a really good thing out there. I like the product, and I think it's going to continue to grow. And again, keep it rolling and keep me posted on anything new and adventurous out there, so I can help promote it.
You got it, man. And thanks so much for the opportunity, Max. And I got to tell you, I'm really glad that we both go to the same barber. You look good, my friend.
Yeah, you do. You're good looking though. You got the beard and you got the sunglasses. And when you had them on earlier, you rock it, my friend. Thank you so much. Thanks for doing the podcast.
All right, Max. Take care.
Thanks. Okay. Thank you so much to Keith Daubmann, our first guest today, and then Jason Godfrey, our second one. Great guests. Had a lot of fun with both guys. Again, thank you to FHC, sponsor of this episode. See them at fhc.usa.com. Stop gambling with your hardware. When you specify or purchase FHC entrances, railings, or frameless shower door, you gain instant peace of mind. The quality is up to the measurements that they set, their own, and it's high. It's a high level of quality. They have a high end of customization capabilities, ease of installation, breakneck lead times, best customer service in the industry. You now have a choice with FHC. Please check that out, fhc-usa.com. So wrapping up, as I always do each month, the TV section. we're going to go with movies this time because I had to go to Glass Tech. I had to download some stuff that would take out chunks of time. So some movies, all empty calorie movies again. So if you're looking for the really deep thinkers, not happening here, but the ones that pass some time, yeah, I got them for you. Beverly Hills Cop, the new one with Eddie Murphy. If you're from that age where you saw Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 in the theaters, this plays good fan service to that. I thought it was pretty good, solid on Netflix. The Union with Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg on Netflix. Again, simple, empty calorie, fast, entertaining. I liked it. And then The Instigators with Matt Damon and Casey Affleck on Apple. Not a bad movie, actually. Kept my attention. Was pretty well done. Good characters, good casting. So that was Beverly Hills Cop, the new one on Netflix, The Union, and The Instigators. Again, empty calories. We all need them right now, and especially if you're watching this or listening to this on November 2nd, you know we're going to need some distractions with the election coming up and all the stuff that will come with it. So throw that on the streaming and enjoy yourself. So anyway, thank you so much for taking time to listen to this, to watch this, to support me. I really, really appreciate it. Again, thank you to FHC for the support on the sponsorship and to my guests, Keith and Jason. It was fantastic. I will be back next month with 2 podcasts, a typical podcast and then my year-end solo podcast with 1 special guest. And that's coming up at the end here of 2024. So thank you, everyone, for checking it out, and we will see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.